What's up, Steve?
What it do, Kiko Flow? Hey, did you release something special online for on your music side of your life?
Well, it's a video that was already made, but since my album is gonna come out very soon, I'm putting out some little surprises very soon. So yeah, you'll find out soon enough.
I'm good, man. I'm glad. It's a lot better than what's going on right now in the world. So a good little positivity is never a bad thing. What are you hearing over there on your side of the pond about what's going on here in the States?
In the States, yeah, man. I mean, this whole situation with the police brutality is going global. You know, like obviously the main thing is over there, but I mean, you can see people are outraged everywhere in the world. You know, everywhere.
Yeah.
And bro, it's crazy, man. I mean, obviously this is not the first time, but I don't know. I want you to. I know that you had, your point of view, and I want to hear you first because I'm really at a loss of words, for the whole situation and just how horrible it is.
Yeah, I mean, it actually, being a major city that I live in, Miami, it for some reason has really taken a turn here as well. I want to start off by just saying, first and foremost, I 100% support peaceful protesting. I support, just potentially even on a more personal level, harsh punishment or zero tolerance punishment for those who exert force on as a hate crime. Or taking advantage of their power, to do things that they feel could put them above the law. 100%, I'm with that.
Against
but
that.
I'm against people doing that. I'm for people having punishment once they commit that.
Yeah.
But I don't think everybody's problem is with each other, and I think that's what's happening a lot now here. I really, really don't even think that the person that these, and I'm not even gonna call them protesters because they're not protesting, they're rioting. These rioters are not even, they're disgracing the memory of George Floyd by doing the looting, by doing these things, because actually I read up a little bit on George, and he did go to jail when in his younger years for breaking and entering into somebody's house. He was a musical. He was in a rap group called what was it? It was something silly. It was like people who that's irrelevant. He was just doing his thing. He was just trying to do his thing, and he got caught up in probably some bad peer pressure and broke into a house, went to jail, did his time, came out, and then he was a bouncer at clubs. Every article I read, different news sources said that he was a jolly guy, he was a nice guy, even down to the point where it got to the events of how eventually his demise happened. He was going, he was laid off because of Corona. He's a bouncer at a club. Nobody's at clubs. He was laid off. He went to the corner store, which the owner knows him. The owner came out and said, he was always a great customer. He never bothered anybody. But apparently that the owner had a younger guy working the register that day, and he gave him a $20 bill that the cashier deemed to be counterfeit. He called the police because he allegedly didn't want to give back the pack of cigarettes or whatever it was that he bought. I think it was cigarettes. And then he was just, went out to hang out with his friends, and he was hanging out in the car. That's when the police showed up, and we all know how it happened. We see the videos, and it's a terrible view. I think it's terrible. But as he was saying his last breaths, he was calling out, and saying one of the things that hurt me the most is he was calling out for his mother. His mother had already passed 2 years prior, so he's a good man at heart, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think that he would appreciate people burning down people's house, their businesses. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, man. It's horrible. It's horrible.
There's a video of did you see the video of the store owner? There's 2 videos of store owners, probably even more than that, because
I saw one that got me really disturbed. I mean, obviously the main video, right, of George being killed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrible. Murder. And then I saw another one, which I'm not sure how it even happened, but it seemed to be like some, I wouldn't say protester, more like violent rioters just started like beating up some guy, and they showed the guy pretty much like not moving. It seemed like he was dead, like with blood everywhere, and it was so real. I was just like my mind didn't even think at that time of the sides that people might be taking or not. I was just like, how horrible is this, like, violence and hatred, and obviously, you know, without justifying what no one is doing, you know, outside of the peaceful protesting, you can understand how people are enraged after you see this guy. I mean, bro, like when I saw it, and I haven't been able to see like the full video, like I just, you know, cause I know what happens, like little by little he gets less and less air and less air. And, you know, like you and me, you know, we're not like skinny guys, so we know what it is to be out of breath. And the fact and the fact that you have someone on top of you, right? And like they're already pressing on you, because apparently the guy on the neck, that was just one, and then there were 2 behind. So pretty much he had 3 cops on top of his body, in total. And then the air is leaving, and I could like picture in my head when he was like me being there, like, yeah, dude, like I can't breathe, bro, like for real, like get up, I cannot breathe, you know, like what was he gonna do that you had to hold him like that? Like the guy was already subdued. You could just put the handcuffs and then that's it. Like I just don't understand why they kept doing it. And the way that he dies, man, I don't know how you could die in a more horrific way with your air being taken out of you. Man, it's insane, and I find it hard to really comment because I cannot find words. I'm still in shock. Then I saw the other video of the did you see that owner. Video? Oh, it's a store owner?
There's people who said it was a person trying to stop it. There's articles saying that it was one of the store owners. But regardless, that same group of just angry rioters, and don't get me wrong, they could have started off wanting to protest, but let's just be real, they became rioters, and that's not right. But anyways, they're just beating up on this guy. He, like, the video starts after
they already
I would say 20 people. Yeah. 20 people on this one guy. And he starts off laying down, like, you know, helpless, and then the eventually the crowd clears and he's in some contorted, face down, neck out, like blood everywhere type of situation.
No, when I saw it, I'm like,
and that was wrong.
I don't think this guy is gonna make it, and it was just so disturbing. And then, you know, I mean,
what does that have to do with George Floyd? That's what I want to ask. That's what I want to ask out there. What does that have to do with George Floyd? What does that have to do with protesting? Let's be real for a second, okay? Martin Luther King, he walked tons and tons of people from Alabama or, you know, Mississippi all the way. He was, you know, peacefully, like, nobody is fighting. He told his people, nobody fight. We are just going to walk through here, you know? I support that type of protest. Absolutely. I think he was a genius for it. This country, in the U.S., you are required by law to be tried in front of a court of your peers. If you want something to happen, stop people from being able to go to the courts, because that's not going to let anybody make any laws, any decisions until your agenda, what you guys want to stop the police brutality from happening, stop the courts. You create a human barricade and stop the courts from happening. That is way more peaceful.
What do you mean stop the courts?
Like create. People aren't going to go, lawyers, judges, jurors, people who need to make decisions around the United States. If you're going to rally cities and loot, get that same number of people, become peaceful protesters, and go and stop judgment from happening until your topic is taken care of.
Okay, you mean sort of like protest in a way so that you don't allow them to do their duties, obviously peacefully, and then so put pressure in a different way.
In a different way. There's mental warfare is way more effective than physically.
You know what's crazy? That it's hard to compare, but I use this comparison because I went through this shit in Venezuela, right? We have a regime, communist dictatorship, and when I used to live there, I went to the protests, to take the government out, and you definitely support the protest, and then the government comes and tries to attack the protesters, right? And in Venezuela, 99.999% of everyone did a peaceful protest. We're not really a fighting type of people. We're very peaceful. So that's what we did, and everybody took pride in doing these peaceful protests. And then came a point where we wanted to get more results. And when I say we, I say in general, because I also took part of this, where you would block streets, where you would block things so that you could stop the country and in a way sort of make it no, we need to solve this issue or the country stops, right? Mm-hmm. And even then you can make the argument well, that's vandalism, right? You're stopping people from being able to get out of their houses and things. So I do understand that there's a nuance when it comes to the point where tyranny is so bad that it's almost justified to go a bit over the law so that you can sort of get things done. So I'm not saying I don't agree with you. I totally agree with you that I don't support the violent rioters, and I extremely support the peaceful protesters, right? But I'm just trying to also put into mind that it is a sort of gray situation when you think about it, because I myself justified it when we did this blocking of the streets, and you would burn tires so that the whole highway was blocked, and this made it hard on the government. So they were okay, we need to do something. And so you get what I'm trying to say, how you could justify doing that to get somewhere. So I'm just saying that so that you can also see that side of it. However, that does not mean that we didn't kill anybody or hurt anybody. We blocked the streets because we thought okay, this is the most rebel thing we can do, to try to show hey, this needs to get fixed, right? But obviously that's not the same as stealing and going into people's private property and causing violence on people just because you are mad at the situation. So I think those both realities can exist and coexist. You can have peaceful protesters that are rightfully in the right to be angry and to protest civically, but with pressure. And then we can also have the reality that exists, that there's people that took advantage of it and maybe use the anger in the total incorrect way.
Yeah. I agree. Let's for a second though, and maybe somebody's listening to this that we can offer a second way of thinking, right? Let's use your example of burning tires, right? Did you rip the people from their cars and set their car on fire to block the highway?
No,
right? That would be a little OP, right?
No, it was literally the most peaceful way to blockade a street.
Everybody bring spare tires.
Everybody bring your spare tire from your house and bring any debris that you have that's in a trash can or something. Yeah, it was. So so that's why I find that it's a bit nuanced. Again, it's hard to compare because we're talking about a regime, a dictatorship in Venezuela. But I guess where you could draw a parallel is that in the U.S., the people are mad because they feel that the police force are tyrannical. So that's where the parallel exists. Now, we got to recognize that it's not comparable because in Venezuela, the dictatorship is completely rotten. In the U.S., most cops are good people that are trying to help and save lives and help others.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't take a big percentage for a country with 350 million people to cause this type of situations. But nevertheless, it's not tolerable and it's not acceptable.
No, I think those police officers who think that they can do these sorts of actions must be brought to justice. Them and only them, and that's and I mean, I don't want the U.S. truthfully in my heart, I don't want the U.S. to get to a point where it's like these third world countries, like in the Middle East or wherever, that you steal something, your hand gets chopped off. But how many people are actually stealing over there? You know what I mean? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, there has to be a zero tolerance rule that is U.S. Constitution approved. I'm not this person to decide this, but there are people who are way smart enough to help find that middle ground. And I think that we all need to band together and use our minds to try and change what's been going on. Unfortunately, just history shows that the U.S. is built on bigotry and on racism. On you know what I mean? Yes, the minority groups.
How so? You mean because of the history with slavery and?
Yeah, the history with slavery. I mean, and it doesn't just extend only to blacks, although those are the ones that have felt it the most. However, the slavery is still happening in many, many other countries still to this day. We have children sex slaves currently happening here in Florida, hotspots like Tampa and Clearwater. Like, it's insane to me that still exists. But you know what? There's weird people in the world, and we need to have a way to be able to find justice, but also kind of show that there is a zero tolerance, right? Because you need like to snip these bigots and these people. Like, you need to stop them short.
Yeah.
That we just need to stop it right now.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that an elderly couple who has a pet shop or like somebody who's a tax accountant needs to pay and be looted and set on fire, and because that person busted their heart and soul into putting in a business. And the fact that people are doing that for justice for Floyd or for whatever person, it doesn't stop at Floyd. It's further than that, and I understand that. But what does that have anything to do with the actions of a police officer? You know what I mean? And then there's those who I mean, I don't even need to get into it, but I'm sure you've seen them. They're just robbing stores for Floyd. You're getting a Louis V bag for Floyd. Oh, like that makes no sense to me.
To add to that, I've seen videos of that of all races doing So.
Oh, I'm not even saying race. I want to be very clear.
I'm not saying you're saying it, but I just want to make it clear. Like, you can see all types of people trying to take advantage of the situation.
Everyone.
But you got to look at that with one eye and know that that's separated from the real peaceful protesters that are tired of bullshit like this happening. I mean,
but also the media focusing on that. You have people saying, "Oh my God, that's so wrong. Like, why would anybody do that?" And then you have people saying, like, "Holy crap! Like, people are getting away with that. Let's do this. There's one right around the corner. Oh, everybody hit him up and let's go." Like,
what do you mean?
Like, I think that freedom of speech is super important, but the way that the media is focusing only on the negative.
Oh, you mean the freedom that the media has to say what they say?
Yeah, I've never seen the media post the positive stories that I see everywhere on Instagram. The other day, or during all this protesting, I think it was in Minnesota, there was a police officer that got separated from his crew, and there was peaceful protesters creating a blockade from those rioters trying to do him harm. Where was CNN then? When was NBC then? When was ABC then? They're not there. Not even Fox. This is not nobody.
Yeah, it's not a left or right thing. It's just none of them. None of them are objective, and that's a problem.
But they'll find a story. They'll find the tiniest little story to create havoc and views.
And more hatred.
My point is, if you're going to be a freedom of speech, if you're going to be a platform that tells people news, then push a positive agenda.
I mean, but then we come into the topic where, like, okay, well, they're a private institution, they could do what they want. My take on it is news outlets should be categorized in a way so that, like, they present themselves and they have to make a disclaimer that whatever they say and show is a depiction of how they see it and how they interpret the information. Instead of saying, we provide you the facts, because fuck that. None of the news outlets provide the facts. They always provide the view of the facts that they want. So I mean that's not something new. It's just that now, with the speed that we have to get a story, because a phone can grab a video of the guy in a store getting looted, that gets sent right away, and it's so disgusting because this situation is so horrible and it needs the world's eyes, right? But at the same time, you can see how the media just loves to hop on another thing that they can make mad money on and pass on their own agendas. You know, like, where's the virus now? It's gone? It doesn't exist?
I have not seen a single thing about the virus in the last week.
Did it get cured? No, I'm saying, like, did it get cured? Because, I mean, like, apparently now it doesn't matter because they found another hot thing, right? And if you notice, all these hot topics that they love to have to clickbait you on and to keep you fucking hooked, is always negative ass shit. It's always like the virus, oh, it's killing this many people. Oh, these motherfuckers don't got respirators. Oh, it's growing. Oh, nobody knows what's gonna happen. And then, oh, now we have this situation with George Floyd. Okay, it's a horrible situation. Now let's pump it up. And this doesn't mean let's not talk about it. Hell yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah. But we can all agree that the news outlets are using the story and then, to their advantage and showing what they want to show. And that, at the end of the day, dictates how people behave, because society sees that shit and they act upon what they think is a reality.
And the news are an official outlet. The news is an official outlet. If you just said I'm not gonna, yeah, but I'm just saying, if you didn't give these protests, or I'm sorry, the rioting and the violence part any airtime, there would be less. I would put my money on, if you didn't give, there's people looting the streets and but it's over and over and over. I'm not saying not to mention it, but I'm just saying, like, just give it a little and then be done with it. Oh, by the way, a peaceful group, a group of protesters were standing in front of the courthouse, or a peaceful blocked the road. You know what I mean? Oh, okay. You know what? That seems like something I can get behind. Guys, let's do the same thing over here. Let's do the same thing over there. You get what I'm saying?
Letting people know, not everyone that's here is a monster. Like, yeah. Most people here are good humans that want things to improve. Instead of you looking at it from, like, afar, and it looks like a Game of Thrones episodes where fucking dragons are just burning everything, and it's like, yo, nah, I totally feel you with that, and I'm fucking so mad at the way that the media, they just don't explain the realities. They don't provide the facts, And I myself think I'm super free speech all the way, regardless of what consequences that might bring. But if you're a news outlet nowadays, you should have disclaimers like cigarettes have, where everything that's said here is our interpretation and our opinions on the matter that we're talking about. You cannot say you're saying news and facts. Who does that anymore? No one, because that does not make money. People don't give a fuck about simple, boring facts. People give a fuck about crazy, sensational, horrific little tick things to keep you going in the day. And I mean, that's a different conversation, you know, of the nature of human beings. But that's the reality with these news outlets. They're just giving you this fucking drug, and it's always chaos, and
it's unfortunate.
It's crazy.
I just, I mean, I don't want to go too deep in it because honestly, our podcast is not a political podcast. It's not a, you know, we try to maybe here and there sprinkle in some current events, but just use your brain. You don't need to hurt anybody, guys. You know, think about what you're doing out there. Think about the lives that you're affecting, and if it really is for the cause that you say you're pushing. I'm behind it. I'm behind you 100% for peaceful protesting. I'm behind changing the system, changing the way that people are with one another, and for those who don't respect that and break the law, that they come to true justice. That's on both sides. So
yeah,
guys.
Yeah, and just like, you know, like Steven said, like we weren't really sure if we were gonna have an episode talking about this, because we really are not a political podcast. We might touch on certain subjects if it comes up, because we are humans and we really don't restrain ourselves from speaking about anything. But I think that this topic goes far beyond politics. You know, this is a humanity issue. You know, this has to change. And to be honest, I'm not smart enough and don't have enough information to know what the correct solution is. But I think at least we should all be aware of what's happening and make a voice for this bullshit. And I'm glad that worldwide this is picking up a lot of fire in a good sense. Like a lot of people are looking at this and they're also enraged. So I really hope that this makes things change. And yeah, you know, on the political side, me and Steve are all about common sense. You know, we don't care about one side or the other. We're about common sense. If we wanted to just give a little bit of what we thought about the topics that are happening in the world, really, not just in America, but in the world, and just give, you know, a bit of a piece of our mind regarding that.
Till next time.
All right, guys.
Let's take
care.